go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it then. In their heads, living free. I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM making cheese like Mercedes Benz. Whoa, yeah, we gonna take offense.
All right, we're back. It is season 1, episode 12. Season 1, episode 12. Switching it up a little bit, relaxing today on the couch, having a conversation. I'm Jamie Jones.
I'm Monique Jones.
And today I'm drinking Progeny, Mount Vita, Napa Valley, Cabernet 2021 Reserve. Cheers. Check it out if you ever get to Napa, but you better call first because you can only get in with a reservation. All right, look. What I am excited about this week is the announcement was made that George Clooney wants to do Ocean's 14. One of my favorite movies. I mean, it's a good month for me. A couple weeks ago, probably a couple months ago, but it's a good month because they were filming in Milan for The Devil Wears Prada 2. Mm-hmm. Now, Ocean's 14? I mean, that's right in there. That's my second tier. I mean, there's Boomerang, Black Panther, Coming to America, Dark Knight. Then, not too far below, but I watch it every time. Oh, and Jason Bourne. Mm-hmm. All the Jason Bourne.
Yeah, absolutely.
And James Bond. Then, well, you know what? And James Bond, right? Then Oceans. And Oceans may be in there. They just may be squeezed out of the top 10. But Oceans is in there as watch it every time I see it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and the whole crew is going to get back. What I hope they do, though, is they bring the Ocean's female crew in. Because that movie was great, too.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock. Yeah, the whole Rihanna, the whole crew. I know he is not going to disappoint and not include them because remember, he's supposed to be dead. Yeah. And then Sandra Bullock was the sister. Yeah. And then she was talking to him at his grave. But then we kind of all knew at the end, like, is he really dead? We don't know if he's dead. Is he really dead? You know, Julia Roberts is like, she wasn't in that movie, but that's fine. But look, I'm excited about that. We'll have to wait probably 2027, maybe even 2028. But that's right up there with Devil Wears Prada, as well as the next Batman movie. I don't think we're ever going to see another Black Panther movie. Don't want to see another Black Panther movie. I think they got it right with the two that they did, and they need to move on again. They didn't even talk about the Avengers. The Avengers in my next tier. Because I'll watch an Avengers movie real quick when it comes to not all of them. I want to see the whole Avengers stuff. That is what, we're starting out with something light. We just start out with something heavy. We're starting out with something light. Maybe it's the environment today. Y'all can't see it, but we got the fire lit over there. Drinking a little wine.
Always drinking a little wine.
Yeah, we always drink a little wine. So, but that was good movie news this week.
Yeah, so I have a little segue into shows. Her true and honest opinion of Abbott Elementary's episode last week.
Well, that's not fair. Because she knows that Abbott Elementary is my favorite TV show, current TV show. It is my favorite TV show, and I feel, I hate to talk about my people, but that first show, they jumped the shark a couple times. If y'all know what jump the shark means, look it up on Google. It's a Happy Days reference.
And I didn't know.
And just look it up. They jumped the shark. And I'm like, why? They didn't need to. Are they running out of things to write? I mean, they had such momentum coming out of last season. And then I just didn't like it. Maybe the next show will be better. But it was like, it's almost like they got lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know who did get lazy.
Who got lazy?
Oregon last night.
Oh, you want to talk about football?
Hold on. So do you remember the conversation last night? I'm like, babe, so why do you like this team? Why do you like this team? So we'll watch football and I'm just like, so he'll have Red Zone on or whatever. And I'm like, just observing. I'm like, okay, so who would you want to win this game? And he says, this team because, yes, Texas last night, you said Texas because of a young man, I guess, that is a quarterback there. And I said, okay, makes sense. So then we're watching Oregon and Indiana, and he tells me the story about the coach. He says, I really like the coach. And I said, oh, okay. So the crazy part is that once he mentioned the coach to me, to be honest with you, I know this sounds a little racist, but for me, I'm like thinking that it's a black coach, a new black.
You're racist.
But because he was like, and I'm not saying that he's, of course, to me, being a black man and seeing another black coach, do I think that that's a big reason to like a coach? Absolutely. So when I realized that he had spoke about this other guy and then finding out that he was white, I was like, oh, okay, because he talked.
Why you making it seem like I only like black coaches?
No, it's just that because and I'm not saying that I just noticed on how much you I can't even speak. Hold on.
Emphasized.
You emphasized on this coach and just like,
because he's got moxie.
Okay.
He's got swag.
So,
and he was like, basically, people were asking when he first got to Indiana 2 years ago. It was, Indiana's not a football school. It never been a football school, except I guess you got to go back to the 50s. But it was kind of like, the Cash App girl, like, check me out. Like, right. Like, check me out, bitch. Or cash me out, bitch. And then he was like, look me up on Google. I win wherever I am. And he won wherever he was. But he was just like, don't be asking me these questions. You want to know, look me up on Google. I was like, all right. And then they got to the college football playoff last year. And now everybody was like, oh, they're a one-hit wonder. They're probably only good for 1 year. So people thought they were going to go to Oregon and get their asses kicked. And they did the opposite. They ran over Oregon in a very impressive physical manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Did an amazing job. And I was glued to the TV last night watching this team play. And I was just so excited for the coach and for the team after hearing, the history behind the coach from Jamie yesterday. But also watching his interview after the game and how he got choked up because he had this vision for this team. And, he said it was just all about great, team effort and, all those things. And it was a really great opportunity to watch that. It was nice because, again, this is first time in history that they beat an AP team.
An AP top 25 team on the road.
On the road. So this is history for him.
Well, this is history for the university.
Oh, the university.
Not for him. He's done it. Okay. And the history for the university.
That's really big.
It's good to see. And then, he took the long way up. He wasn't like the silver spoon in his mouth. He wasn't a disciple of Nick Saban. He wasn't all these other things. He worked his way up, small school, proved it every place he was, and took that same methodology and that same philosophy and took it to a school where people were like, okay, you can go there if you want. Probably won't last that long. But now he's sitting on top of the Big Ten. And now it's like, all right, I don't even know if they play Indiana this year. I don't know if they play Ohio State this year. They eventually will run into Ohio State if they get into the conference championship game. And then we'll see what's what. But they're well on their way to a second consecutive college football playoff, which will be incredible for a school that is little known for their football. But let's talk about racism, not subtle racism. Because we talked about Diddy getting 50 months. And everybody focused on the 50 months, he'll be out in 3 years. But what we didn't focus on, and I think he has a very, very strong case for an appeal, but not for what everybody would think he would have. But it's because the judge, in his language when he was giving the sentence, spoke a lot about something that he wasn't convicted of.
Yeah.
That he was acquitted of, matter of fact. He was acquitted of the racketeering charges. He was acquitted of the coercion charges. Mm-hmm. But during the sentence, the judge kept on talking about his coercive behavior. That may be how you saw it, but that's not what he got convicted of. And the thing about federal judges, they can basically do anything they want to do. Mm-hmm. They can go outside the sentencing requirements. high, low, anywhere in between. He eloquently communicated about why he felt Sean Combs should have the sentence that he had. But the problem, I think, and one of the big problems is, and this is what happens to a lot of minorities in the penal system, is they'll still get convicted for stuff that they got either acquitted for or weren't responsible for. And then have to fight it later. But as we well know, you can't get back that time in life. So that precious time that you lose in the system is gone. And the same thing's going to happen to Sean Combs. And I know his lawyers are all over this. And, I've read this in an article and I was like, oh, wow. If you weren't in the court, if you didn't read the transcripts, but when you're reading the transcripts, it is clear that the judge is punishing him for behavior that is associated with the charges that he was acquitted for.
Right. So he wasn't charged for the charge.
No, he was charged. Oh. He wasn't convicted.
Okay.
So that she was charged for it, but the jury said, the racy charges, the racketeering charges, he wasn't convicted of. But the behavior that emulates the racketeering charges, he projected into his sentence, which the only way you can appeal, any appeal, is if there was something, wrong with the evidence, if there was something illegal done, or if the judge didn't follow procedures and the law. If he didn't make, or she makes a mistake on the law in sentencing, that they did something wrong, your appeal is in dead water before you even get started.
Yeah.
But by his language, it's almost like, did he mean to do that? Because this guy's a great judge. I mean, he's got a hell of a background. And I'm almost like, this is in my opinion, I have no proof, that I'm like, did he do that on purpose to look somewhat good in sentencing Sean Combs to 50 months, knowing that if you listen, you could probably get less if you appeal, but I'm going to put this out front so nobody can say I didn't give you too light of a sentence. I gave you what I thought was fair. But at the same time, you cannot tell me he wasn't deliberate with his language, which would give the defense team an opening.
I mean, that could be possible.
And you got to read the fine print. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school.
Yeah.
But I'm just reading through that. But it's happened to other people too that don't have the resources. So it's funny. It's like when people say, oh, the rich get off for the resources. Well, no, I mean, yes, but because they may have enough resources to be able to outlast the judiciary system or be able to have the money to get such great and experienced lawyers that they can figure out the nuances that are there that are right in front of your face, right?
Like I say, there's always a loophole.
Well, there are loopholes. I don't know if there's always a loophole.
Yeah, well.
Sometimes there's not a loophole, right?
I did say always. Sometimes
there's not a loophole. And the other thing on the opposite side of that is I've always said, look, I'm a moderate. I vote for the person, not the party. And I can look at both parties, I think, honestly, and go, oh, this is kind of screwed. This is kind of screwed. I don't agree with using the judiciary system to go after political foes like Trump is doing. But the only thing Trump is doing different than Democrats did is Trump is just telling you he's doing it right in front of your face. Democrats just didn't do it. They did it Biden was spying. And then look, you should be able as a president to say, hey, I think something's going on over here. Y'all need to look at this. But without infringing on anybody's privacy. The only difference between Biden and I think Trump just tells you straight out, I'm going after you. Every other president kind of did it behind the scenes, but every president has had targets for whatever reason, whatever the justifiable reasons are. Every president has. We just don't know about it because it was behind the scenes. This is out in front of the scenes. But this attorney general in Minnesota, and this is the problem with Democrats that they don't get. And this is why I'm like, no matter how many times the Republicans you think make these grotesque mistakes, whatever you think about Plan 2025, whatever you think about Vance as the VP, whatever you think about Charlie Kirk, whatever you think about Donald Trump, there's still these cats on the Democrat side that don't get it. So the Minnesota Attorney General last week said, having males in girls' sports doesn't harm anyone. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
So dumb.
I mean, are you talking about playing chess? Checkers? Or are you talking about a physical sport? I don't care what you say. Any physical sport, there is going to be a greater chance of a female, any physical sport where they're competing against each other physically. I ain't talking about swimming, even though that shouldn't be done either. I'm not talking about skeet shooting. I ain't talking about bow and arrow. I'm talking about field hockey, softball, anything that you're on the other side actively competing against a male as a female, you have a greater danger of being injured and certainly not winning. Okay?
Very true.
Even in golf, you're not going to win, but you're not going to get injured, but you're not going to, I mean, it's just like we think it's crazy to put a male and a female in a boxing ring together and fight it out. That's no different than field hockey.
Yes.
That's no different than soccer. We would never do it in football. We would never do it in baseball. What is this guy talking about? He happens to be an African American, which even makes it even more of a target for the Republicans to go after in Minnesota, which makes it even more of a target because all the George Floyd stuff and the police and the denounce the police thing and the police brutality thing, although how relevant and true that was, but then defunding police is crazy, because we should all support our first responders because the job that they do, they don't get paid enough at all, any first responder. But to say,
yeah, that's insane,
that
it doesn't harm anyone.
It doesn't harm anyone is categorically ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's the problem the Democrats have. That's why they get plastered with you're far left when you say things like this. And this was unprovoked. This was just in the news conference. You didn't have to say this. You could have said a lot. I could have gave a better answer. Or just say no comment. Go Bill Belichick and go no comment.
Right.
But this doesn't harm anyone. Really? Really?
Yeah, I'm sure he's...
I don't know what he is, but that was just dumb. That was just dumb.
So, yes, it was. But that's...
And I need to correct myself from the last podcast because I said something about Taylor Swift, not in a negative way. I was like, Taylor knows her worth. She's not going to do the Super Bowl because they're not going to pay her and all that stuff. But we really found out the truth, or at least we really found out from her what her reasonings were. So let me stand corrected. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, and I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I'm ambivalent to it because the music genre doesn't do anything for me, but I respect the fact that she gets hers, and she's very successful. And I love to see people be successful. I love to see women do well and all those things. But I'm a big fan of her now. Because the reason why she said she wasn't going to do the Super Bowl, she's like, look, my man, the man I am in love with is out there, and his job puts his life on the line every time he steps on the field. So how can I be focused on a show if my man is actually, if he's in the Super Bowl? He may not be, but if he's in the Super Bowl, respect to all the players, right? She's like, if my man's in the Super Bowl and I'm sitting there going, which song should I sing or what choreograph, what she said, what choreo should I do? I'm like, I got mad respect for that. She's like, I'm there for him.
I love that.
I got enough.
Yeah.
I don't need the Super Bowl. And I can't tell if my man's not going to be in the Super Bowl. So why don't I just take the safe route and be like, if he is, there's no way I'm going to be talking about something that not as less important.
Yeah.
It didn't come off like that. It just came off as like, I want to be focused on him because it's about him, because it's about the Super Bowl. Just like it's about me at the concert. He's there for me. Yeah. I want to be there for him. Got mad respect for her and her team and everything. And I'm like, all right, Well, you can think whatever you want about the relationship, but that right there shows that she's in love because she passed up millions, maybe even $100 million based off the publicity.
It's beautiful.
I have no problem with that. So I'm big. That moved me over to be, I don't care about her music. I don't care, but as a fan of Taylor Swift, I'm like, I'm down. I'm down with Taylor.
It's great. Good for her.
So I'm down with that.
That's yeah. So Charlie Kirk, Netflix. Did you read that?
No.
They're having a Netflix special. Charlie Kirk's life.
Why?
I mean, why what?
Why? I mean, so what?
I'm just like, what?
I mean, you can go on Netflix, you'll see many things, many documentaries. I think
absolutely.
It depends on what, it all depends on who's producing. It all depends on what the lens is. It all depends on, are we going to see both sides? I'm sure we're going to learn things we didn't know. But if it's a syrupy, sugary, like, or is it real, like in depth, like there's a both sides.
Yeah.
Because if they do the syrupy side, somebody later is going to do well, this is the opposite side.
Yeah.
Because he has said some very interesting things about race relations, about women, about a lot of things. And the thing about it is, he was very young. And unfortunately, he got taken down for heinous reasons. He didn't even get a chance to grow into a more mature, and not saying he's not mature for his age, but he didn't even get a chance for his views to grow in a more mature way as they got out there. And I do believe that he was somebody who could adjust his thinking, because he did. I mean, he was moving away from some of the things that MAGA was about.
Yeah.
And they had to reel him back in and be like, hey, according to sources, hey, Charlie, take it easy on us. Like, think about this, think about that. And he kind of settled back. But he didn't even get a chance for those views to matriculate. And he could have been somebody that could have understood some of the damage that his words were doing and changed his opinion. Like many people that are either on the pulpit or out in public speaking or have certain views when they're younger, and then they realize when they're older and they've seen more or they experience more, what impact and what that actually means. So I'm all for it. Bring it on. I mean, he was struck down. He shouldn't have been.
Absolutely.
He is a martyr. I don't believe in most of the things he said, but quite frankly, I mean, I would have loved to have a conversation with him, publicly or privately, to really understand where his views came from, what the motivations were. Not that he may have told me, but if it was, let's just say, an honest conversation with no cameras around and no recorders around, and you could have that conversation. I mean, that's what everybody wants to have. Hey, I'd love to sit down with Trump to do it. Love to sit down with Obama, do it. Love to sit down with Bush or whoever. No cameras, no recorders. They know if you walk out that room and say anything, it's going to be your word against theirs, and they're not going to believe me over this person. So it's like that insight would be great. So
it will be out soon.
How soon?
Soon.
Okay. So I
don't know the date.
The other weird thing, I don't want to say weird thing, but I'll say weird thing, strange thing. So is the Nobel Peace Prize. I have never seen anybody campaign for the Nobel Peace Prize as much as Trump. And it's funny because it's like he thinks he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. And I just thought it was ironic that the ceasefire in Gaza, he's pushing for it, and it's all coming to fruition right before the Nobel Peace Prize. Not thinking that you probably need to get it sooner if you want them to actually consider you. But then you may have thought about, trying to take over Greenland before that. That does it. They're not really into the tyrant thing, and just gobbling up land that has no justification. But the fact that the thing that surprised me is in the news when Norway, of all countries, Norway braces for Trump's, and I'm reading this, Norway braces for Trump's reaction if he does not win the Nobel Peace Prize, like he's some little bad kid that they have to worry about if he's going to wreck the playroom if he doesn't get what he wants.
Right.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but again, why are you concerned about winning a Nobel Peace Prize if you're truly concerned about peace
Exactly.
in the Middle East?
Right. Because he's only worried about.
And then why do you have these like, oh, Trump's going to fly out? And so I'm like, why can't you be satisfied with knowing that you are a silent hand behind the scene that's moving the process forward, that's getting Netanyahu and Hamas and all those people to understand that killing on both sides were wrong. And again, I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't say whether Israel went too far or didn't, but I know if somebody would have flew over here, which, that did happen in 9/11, killed thousands of people for no daggone reason, what's the retaliation gonna be? And I'd rather be living in a country that says, don't come for me
Unless I
call for you. And if you do come for me, it's not going to be a good thing for you. And you have to it's like, unfortunately, you got to put forth effort to make them know you can never, ever do that to us
again.
Or before. You shouldn't have. Yeah. So in a sense, I have no problem with what Israel does. I do have a problem with the loss of life, but they didn't start it, at least this time. They didn't start it. And then like, I don't agree with them I don't agree with them trying to just annihilate Gaza and just take it over. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I'm glad they have a ceasefire, but I am not mad that they feel like that they have to protect themselves and they have to insulate themselves because they were just sitting there minding their business. And then you went into a neighborhood and just killed hundreds, thousands of people. And you have been planning it for a while, the tunnels, the strategy. Yeah. You came for us. Yeah. And they said, okay, we're coming for you. And for them to I don't want to say Israel thumbed their nose at the United States, but for them to say, look, you ain't walking in my shoes because we saw what you did 9/11. So can you really tell us we can't protect ourselves? And I think Trump had to come to terms with that. I think look, I applaud him for his efforts. Definitely. I applaud him for his efforts and to getting it done. But the question is, we'll never know when is enough enough. And those conversations they had, of course, were private, and we'll find out 50 years later in history when we're not here anymore. But it's such a messed up situation. But I applaud everyone finally coming to the table. And hopefully we can stop the loss of life. And hopefully this truly does mean ceasefire. But there's just so much over there that how long is that going to last?
And it's just, like you said, it's so unfortunate because you have all those people just losing their lives over, this war that is just continuing to, go on and on and on. And it's just like, when does it come to a stop? And then in the meantime, we have him trying to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Like it hasn't stopped. Isn't there was an agreement that it was going to cease all fire right before this announcement was made that he wanted to have
everybody said they want to have ceasefire. The ceasefire has been going on for as long as the war has been going on.
I understand. And quote me. I mean, maybe I didn't read it right, but if I'm not mistaken, it was saying like basically he tried to do this, they came to an agreement just so he looks good to try to get
I don't think it's just because he looks good. I just think it's interesting that the full frontal effort with the backdrop of the Nobel Peace Prize, with people in the Nobel Peace Prize looking at him with the side eye like, dude, we don't even know. Yeah, you can have they said, you can have a ceasefire, but we don't even know if the ceasefire will actually stick. Oh, right. It's like you can sign the document all you want. Right. But then we have to see what the result is. It's not just about, hey, we signed an agreement. It's like, hey, we signed an agreement and it's being executed and hostages are being exchanged and ceasefire and we're rebuilding Gaza and all this other stuff.
Right.
So I think it's definitely, you should be lauded that America is right there trying to get and help the ceasefire and pivotal in it. I just don't think you should be seeking out Nobel Peace Prizes.
Right.
It's not like you were a scientist trying to discover some undiscoverable thing, and that could be one of the rewards. This is, we're dealing with human lives.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, his track record in some of those issues is not the best.
Right.
So it's kind of like you can see where people were being cynical
Mm-hmm.
on his reasoning for wanting a Nobel Peace Prize, and the fact that he would think, based on some of the things that are out there, to his own doing, that he would be considered for it. And I think part of it is because I think Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize and other presidents have, and he wants to be in that category. But that's not why you should be a public servant. He still is a public servant. So, well, what else do you have to say? What topics do you have to talk about?
Talked about 3.
Oh, so you're done for the day.
Well, we talked about the topics. What topics did you bring up today?
I brought up
Besides Trump.
I brought up Trump. I brought up Keith Ellison in Minnesota. I brought up George Clooney.
Oh, the movie.
And I brought up Trump. So I can keep on going.
I brought up Indiana.
Okay, look, the thing is, there's not a limit on how many things we can bring up. I think the other interesting thing is they always try to discredit this guy. And Michael Wolff, famous author, and he's Trump's biographer, funny enough. And he said, and they tried to discredit him. They call him a leech. They call him bad words. They disrespect him every time he comes up with a quote. But he hasn't been proven wrong too many times. So last week he said, look, I've seen the lewd photos, not nude, but lewd, which includes nudity, photos by Jeffrey Epstein himself, with Trump sitting there with naked young women. Don't know how old they were. I mean, you got to say that because this isn't even alleged. This is like dude saying, I saw the pictures Jeffrey Epstein showed me. He challenged Jeffrey Epstein when Trump ran for president the first time back in 2016. They said, yo, you need to come up with this stuff. But he was like, dude, I ain't crazy. I know what the retribution will be from Trump, and I know how powerful he is. He was like, I ain't trying to do that, but I'm letting you know that it's here. Now, I don't know why you would do that. That's kind of like one of those things that, hey, if I die,
right,
check the box and read the letter or play this tape, right? But it's like, I believe him. And I believe the pictures exist. I think everybody believes the pictures exist. And I think what Pam Bondi is doing and others are doing in the organization is kicking it down, the trail, because they know that, and not only Trump, but many people are probably in there. I do believe if there's not a list, there's definitely pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there are going to be, I don't know how many women came out for that protest a couple of weeks ago on Trump when they were talking about getting, exposing the Epstein files. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire. At least enough they should release everything that they have. You can redact the people's names that aren't essential or material to what you're trying to understand, because what you're trying to understand is who was complicit in this operation.
Right.
And you cannot tell me that it's not some very powerful people that don't want it to be out there. And Epstein was a billionaire. It wasn't like he wasn't powerful, right, and he's scared.
Right.
But he shows somebody, and it's his word against theirs, because he's like, yeah, I saw him, and now I take him back and put him back in. And he said he took him back and put him back in. He showed him from the vault. So that the government has access to his vault. So they've seen those same pictures.
Yes.
You just don't know how old the women are. And look, having a bunch of women naked sitting on your lap is no crime. If you're in Scores or in wherever you're, the Glass Slipper, if you're in, Rick's Cabaret, whatever strip club you're in, there's nothing wrong with that. However, based on the things that we know about Epstein and the island and the planes, probably people want to know. But then again, you elected a president. I didn't. The majority elected a president that had, 30 some odd counts of sexual abuse or sexual harassment.
So when you say there's no harm in, the girls, strippers, escorts, whatever they.
I didn't say escorts.
No. You said in a cabaret, and you said
I said in these places that are strip clubs. You quoted me wrong.
Okay, well, okay, so it's not a crime, but he is not at one of those places. He's at Epstein's place, allegedly. And allegedly, they're usually underage women there. So, yes, they have elected a president for us that has charges, convictions, all those things. However, so what if it doesn't matter if there's a whole bunch of naked girls on his lap? Well, why would it matter if he has a criminal record? That's just how I feel.
Well, it's a criminal record, right?
Oh.
It's like you elected a president that has a criminal record. And let me be factual. 34 criminal charges of falsifying business records. He didn't get convicted of that. He got indicted of that Stormy Daniels stuff. What he did get convicted of is jury by verdict was found liable for sexual abusing and defaming a woman, and it was ordered to pay $5 million, which turned out to be even more. And he lost. He was unsuccessful in an appeal, but because he's now the president, he don't have to do nothing. They don't have to pay him.
Right.
So he is a convicted. He is convicted in a civil case.
And to be clear, these charges were brought against him before he was elected our president.
That's the one. 2023.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that I don't believe that if he was at Epstein's and he only had girls sitting on his lap that just took nude pictures, American people wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. They didn't care about his convictions. Why are they going to care if he had?
Well, I think the American people,
like you said,
I think they would. I think they will care if they're 14 or 15 or 12.
Okay.
But we can't.
Okay. Fair.
We can't prove that. There is not even any charges, so it's not even allegedly. This is just us pontificating on what we may see from somebody who he was best friends with for years. I mean, I know my best friends. I know what they do. That doesn't mean I partake in what they do. So that's the other thing. It's like you can know your best friends are criminals or dirty or doing some stuff. You can convince them to try to not to do it. You can counsel them, but that doesn't mean you're complicit.
Absolutely.
Now, however, if you know your best friend is having sexual relations with a 12-year-old, man or woman, and you know for sure, are you complicit if you don't say anything? That's a think about that question. I know my boy is having sex with a 12-year-old. I know it.
You're complicit.
I've seen it or I've heard. He told me.
Absolutely.
Am I complicit if I do not report him? What could I be? Could I be convicted?
Because you were aware.
Was I?
Sorry.
So the thing is, if I know my boy or my girl, not my girlfriend, because of course I'm married, but I'm saying back in the day, my girl, my best friend who's a female, is screwing a 12-year-old boy, and I know it. Because she's told me. She's freaky. She showed me videos. I'm like, what are you doing? Am I complicit? Yeah, I would think so.
Absolutely.
I would think that if they knew I knew.
Absolutely.
Am I breaking the law by not turning that person in?
I'm driving a car.
Well, wait a minute. If I know the guy who robbed the bank across the street because I saw him in the bank and I saw him rob, am I complicit because I didn't report who it was? No, you're not. So it's like snitches get stitches. And if I don't say anything, I can't be complicit. Now, if I say I knew, then I can be complicit. That's the difference. If I say I knew, but if I don't say anything, am I complicit?
Yes. You will.
It's just nobody knows.
Because.
And then that's on you. That's on you. That's on your conscience.
Right.
But you can't convict me.
Right.
Because I know that's messed up. Right? That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
And I'm telling.
But how good are you? Are you telling?
I'm telling.
Okay, let's change the level of care. Let's change the level of care. If it's your sister or your brother,
I'm telling.
if it's your son or your daughter,
I'm telling.
okay. You may be better than me because I might just say, no comment.
No.
I take the fifth. I'll take the fifth if it's a family member.
And the thing is that
I don't know that.
So just hear me out.
I don't know. I'm saying that, but I don't know.
So I think about, again, my children, and I now think about my grandchildren. What? I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm telling.
Oh, yeah. And I guess I probably would too, but you would like to think, why do I have to deal with this? You're like, blah, ah, la, 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 la. Yeah, that's how you are. La, 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 la. Muggy see, no muggy hear, no muggy speak, no. But at the end of the day, yes, because you have to think about the person that they're abusing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's no longer about me.
It's nice. You know what? It's nice to sit back and say, snitches get stitches. But it's like, yeah, but what about the 12-year-old? What about the 6-year-old? What about the 5-year-old?
Again.
But what we were talking about last week, remember what we read? There's a 22-year-old, there was in the news, there's a 22-year-old guy, white guy, that was abusing a 7-year-old. And remember, they got no jail time.
Yeah.
They got community service.
Crazy.
And they're not even
They don't have to register as
and they don't have to register as a sex offender.
Jamie.
I'm thinking, did I keep that? Did I keep that?
Yes, we were talking about that, and because I know.
Yeah. Yes.
Instagram.
Yes.
I showed it to you.
Yes.
That was so disturbing to me.
And we were trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, she's 7. Does that mean? And they were like for like years, like 5 years. Was she 2 or was she is she 12 now?
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But the fact that you're not, so the judge, I think, gave the reason of, well, we don't want to ruin his life. I'm like, but you ruined the 7-year-old's life.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose.
Yeah.
So this guy gets to go out in the community. Of course, he's shamed in the community, but shame doesn't mean his life's not ruined. He could move someplace else, change his name, and nobody would ever know. However, that 7-year-old, who I don't know if it's 12 or they're 7, I'm assuming, I'll make the assumption he's 22. So that child's 7. That means you were abusing them since they were 2 or 3. Sexually.
Yeah, and that's like and how does
they got to go to counseling and all that stuff.
How does the judge
themselves?
live with those?
So that reeks of somebody must have knew somebody in the family, somebody got paid off, somebody, like we go, this would never happen. And we see it on TV shows and you go, no, because fiction is never stranger than the truth. And you go, oh, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, it does happen. That happened. And I don't know if it was a small town. I don't know if it was a medium-sized town, but it was big enough to get into the news that a 22-year-old abused a 7-year-old for 5 years, which means they had to be 2 or 3.
So this is a personal story that I know. 22-year-old boy was on Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite with an 11-year-old girl. They started chatting each other, communicating through Fortnite and Snapchat. Later on to, I guess, sneak out and meet her at a park. Not really sure. Young lady said nothing happened. I guess, let me explain something. A foster child. The little girl's a foster child. And I think the little girl was caught being out maybe late at night. And there's a chance of her losing her, foster rights and her income raising children. Now, mind you, this is all just information that I got on this case. But supposedly later on, after they interviewed the 22-year-old boy and the 11-year-old girl, they both said that there was no sexual act at all. And then DYFS was again investigating the foster parent. And then later on, the little girl said that the boy had later forced her to give him oral sex. He's been locked up for a year, hasn't been to trial yet. But the biggest question, I think, for me is, okay, you were 22 years old. You clearly can look at these pictures, Snapchat, filters and everything. She still looked very young. Reading the text messages and things like that, like going back and forth, you can tell she was a very, very mature 11-year-old girl. where maybe during conversation he could had taken her for somebody older. Hear me out, but still not old enough. There was no way, regardless if she was 15 or 16, he's still too old to be sleeping with a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So
And let me go back and correct myself on that, what we talked about. He will spend 180 days in jail. So he's getting 6 months. And he started when she was 7. Now she's 12. He started when she was 7, so now she's 12. So he's 10 years older than her.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 17 and she was 7. That's even more to me. I'm like,
yeah.
And he gets
baby.
The whole thing is he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. He does now. Clearly, he better be in solitary confinement because sexual offenders, abusers in jail don't do well.
Well, what I learned from this case, they call them skinners. And they go, once you get that label, they are coming for these guys. The thing is this is clearly true. But the case that I'm talking about, because of the
catfish, like
no, not the catfish, because of the mother who is the what is it called? Foster parent.
Mm-hmm.
She's reliable for that 11-year-old little girl. So now they're investigating her. Why is her 11-year-old little girl outside at 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, but so what? They're investigating the foster parent. They be investigating now. They investigate the parents now anyway. So it's not like 20 years ago when they go, "Oh, the parent couldn't have known." Now they're like, "You're just as liable as yes, the person who committed the crime."
Absolutely, because this is you. First of all, this is your child. You signed up to be a foster parent to her. You're responsible for her. How did you let conversations for weeks go on and on?
So there must be something about foster parenting. I know nothing about foster parenting. I have no idea about foster parenting, but I've heard stories about people who keep on getting foster kids. There must be some type of monetary enticement.
I mean, people get paid and they treat the kids like shit.
Oh, I have. I mean, now, hold up.
I'm not saying everybody.
I don't want foster parents coming at us. Definitely, there are bad apples. They're bad apples, but the majority of them are great apples.
Absolutely.
But we only hear about the bad apples, right?
Absolutely.
So let's say that.
Okay. No, all right. You said it for me. I didn't have to.
But I don't want people coming down on us talking about, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's not fair that I even said that, because I know somebody used to foster children and she was an amazing mom to all the kids. I've actually known a lot of women that have done that.
Yeah. So look, what are our parting thoughts for today? I'll let you go first.
Basics.
You got advice today? You got advice.
Dim your shine. If you are too bright, make those bitches squint. That's what I have to say to you.
Dim your shine. Say that again, because I want to make sure we get this.
Never dim your shine. If you shine too bright, make them squint.
You said make them bitches squint.
Make those bitches squint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you know what? The reason why I say that is that I think that as much as women try so much to, you know what? I just want to empower you because we are women. But at the end of the day, as long as you are not shining brighter than them, you're accepted. The moment you shine brighter than them, they want to break you down.
Well, I mean, that could be people in general, but I hear you. I hear
people in general. But what I'm saying is I find speaking to people that they feel like, oh, I'm just a little too much, or, they think this or they think that. You know what? Who cares what anybody else feels? If they cannot handle your brightness, let them put their sunglasses on or squint their eyes. Don't dim who you are as a person. And that goes for every man and every woman, because you will find somebody who will appreciate, love you for who you are.
Yeah, that is true. I'll harken back to a conversation that I had with an employee this week.
This is going to be so interesting.
I think that it is our responsibility as a Generation X baby boomer, I'm like right on the line, that young adults, young men and women need to understand that why you make a mistake, it really doesn't matter. Why you fail, it really doesn't matter. There are no participation trophies. There are no, you get credit because you tried. The important thing is that you learn from it and that you could take those learnings to help you be successful later. But if you're not willing to and open to those learnings, you will stay in the participation universe.
Absolutely.
And the participation universe
Will let you down.
It's the gerbil wheel
Yeah.
of life.
Absolutely.
You will never go anywhere. And everybody goes through things in life, whether you have $1 billion or you don't even have 2 wooden nickels to rub together. But your ability to learn and take those learnings and use those learnings to better yourself or be successful or to move forward, I think is what's most important. So I'm all about mental health and I'm all about those things. But mental health doesn't mean you go easy on people or there are no consequences.
I agree.
And I think that even goes back to this First Amendment and free speech. Yeah, you can say whatever. I love America. And I've said it before on these podcasts. You can say whatever you want, but that doesn't mean there aren't consequences. And then that doesn't mean there aren't consequences to your actions. And that you have to be prepared that your actions will cause a consequence, some intended, some unintended, but you need to be able to realize that either before the moment or in the moment, or when it happens after the moment, you need to be able to deal with those consequences and turn those into learnings so it betters you in the future.
Absolutely. And, we'll go back to raising kids. Last week's, we were talking about, was it last week or the week before? Anyway, I mean, I was very much that mom. I never wanted to say, when I say you never wanted to, I never wanted to say, oh, you sucked or you didn't do good or you did not perform the way that I expected you to. I never said that ever. And I feel like that's a problem. I feel like there should have been times where I'm like, listen, I see that you did this and you did this and you did that. And I think that that's something you could work on. Have I, now looking back, I'm like, I'm sure I have said things like this to them, but I think for the most part, I never wanted to hurt their feelings.
I didn't have that problem with my parents.
And I love that.
I didn't have that problem with my parents.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's because growing up, it was different. So I didn't have what my kids had. So it was just like, okay, I didn't want to, it was almost like you're in a house of, 4 children. Everybody's like trying to get everybody's attention. It was never like anything that I don't ever remember being, told, oh, you did a great job or good for, just anything like that. I never, ever remember that. I remember maybe my brother making it feel like, we were always causing issues or in the family. And it was like putting like a guilt maybe on myself growing up. But so when I was raising my kids, it was like, I just wanted them to know that it didn't matter if you were the best singer.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm Jamie Jones. Oh, what?
No.
I'm Jamie Jones. I'm Jamie Jones.
I'm Monique Jones.
We'll see you next time.
I fit and trim weight.
Weight loss clinic, 1060 Osgood Street, North Andover. If you want to lose weight, you need to give us a call. What's the number?
781-977-7546.
781-977-SLIM. If you want to be slim, you want to get back in shape, you want to get in shape, you want to lose that weight, give us a call. See you guys.
Holla, holla. Listen to me now.